Shalom, call Limelight, Yahweh Basham, Yahushai Basham, Akakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And a sincere shalom to the 144,000 and 1/3. Now, as you can see at the title of this video, okay, the times that are coming are going to be hideous, evil, and dread. Because that's what the Most High's indignation is going to be to this place we call Earth. In the oikoumenic sense, you're going to have these apparitions. The Most High Yahweh is going to allow these apparitions to come into this realm to show themselves, to possess people, you know. Now, this apparition, if you will, on the screen, he's called Ryuk, Ryuk, Ryuk. And he's fictional from this series called Death Note. All right, not going to go too in-depth in it, but just know that the main character was going around killing people with a magical book, if you will. And Ryuk was a part of his arsenal with this book. All right, so he was essentially being possessed. Now, he wasn't literally being possessed, all right? But you're going to have people, apparitions that look like this being, all right? You know, a very sinister looking spirit, demon, if you will, devil, demon, that are going to be visible to the naked eye. You know, some people can see these spirits, you know, especially if you take drugs like marijuana. You know, these drugs will allow you to see these spirits, and they call it hallucinations. But how can it be hallucinations when you could be with a group of friends and you all see the exact same thing at the exact same time in the exact same place? That's not a hallucination. That's impossible for you all to coincidentally see the same being. You know, I had a friend who took drugs. I'm not going to say in particular which drug he took, but he took a drug with his friends, and he said him and his friends took the drugs together and they went to a park, you know, a very popular park, and they were at the park on these drugs, and they saw, you know, a particular type of spirit, if you will, all at the, like, they said this, it was spirits actually, and they turned the corner, and when they turned the corner, the spirits turned the corner. And when the spirits turned the corner, they kept walking. And then him and his friends said that once the spirits realized that they could see him, you know, they dipped out. So there's spirits all around you, but they can see you, you can't see them. So they're just chilling, you know. They don't realize, I mean, you don't realize they're there, so they're not gonna act different, right? And when typically the average person will see these spirits with a sleep paralysis, you know, you'll see like a dark figure with a hat on, Hat Man, which is how you got Freddy Krueger, or you'll see like a dark figure with red eyes or yellow eyes or blue eyes, right? These spirits. And they're going to manifest more and more. And some spirits are more powerful than other spirits. Like some men are more powerful than other men. All right, so let's get this in Wisdom of Solomon, the 13th chapter, and verse 3. With actually Wisdom of Solomon, the 17th chapter, in verse 3. For while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, yeah, the whole world is open sins, right? They were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange apparitions. Yeah, you see Ryuk, 20-foot Ryuks roaming around, walking around. You know, you're gonna have a heart attack. All right, you're gonna lose your shit. Verse 7 to verse 15. Were partly vexed with monstrous apparitions and partly fainted, their heart failing them for a sudden fear and not looked for came upon them. So yeah, imagine it's late night, 3 a.m, no lights, it's the collapsed society, no more street lights, pitch black darkness. And the only thing you see that you can make out is a giant demon-like being. There's multiple of them surrounding you, looking through your window, phasing in and out of your house, shaking your house. The spirits, they can interact with inanimate objects in your body, right? They can get in your body, get in your house, shake your house, break your attic. They can break your door down. They can scare you, like these paranormal activity movies, Insidious. All those are just documentaries, all right, of demonic possession. That's not fiction. That's non-fiction. Demonic possession is real, and demonic possession can give people spiritual power. It was a man in the scriptures, the New Testament. I don't. Spirit's not on me to read it right now, but he got possessed and he was wrapped. They tied him up, right? And when the possession got stronger, he broke out of the. I think it was actually. Let's get it. Let's get it. See if I can find it. Bear with me. Okay, Mark, the 5th chapter. All right, Mark, the 5th chapter, and verse 4, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, so he's locked up with metal, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the feathers broken in pieces. Neither could any man tame him. So guess what? He was so possessed by these demons. All right, he was so possessed that he was his power. He was more powerful. He had spiritual power. All right, this left hand spiritual power, and of course Esau has manifested this to a point he can tame it and use it, at will, not possession per se. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have regular people like this. You ain't never seen no man break out of no handcuffs, bro. Like, not like pick the lock. I mean, he just uses brute strength, breaks out of it. You're gonna see stuff like that. And guess what? As I'm making this, I see buzzers flying in a circle. That's death. Worms, vultures, things that deal with decay, creatures that deal with decay. That's spiritual for death as I make this video. Because guess what? This is going to be mass death, mass die-off of people. And these demonic possession, these apparitions, these demons, these left-hand angels, they're going to get busy. All right? They're going to get busy on society. And people ain't ready for this. They ain't ready to see like it's a movie. A lot of these non-fiction successful or I should say these fictional successful authors like Stephen King. Stephen King based almost all his stuff upon nightmares he had. What does the Most High say about dreams? Let's get this right here. Let's get this right here about dreaming. All right. This is Job, the 33rd chapter, verse 15. And actually, let me read it. Give me a second. I'm gonna do something else. Let's do this right here. Job. This is Job, the 33rd chapter. All right, and verse 15. in a dream, in a vision of night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon the bed, then he opened the ears of men and sealeth their instructions. So the Most High Yahweh will, while you're asleep, while you're dreaming, you don't, they say supposedly you dream every night, but you forget it. In some dreams you remember. You don't think that the Most High Yahweh gave Stephen King all those dreams? If you look at everything, or a good majority of what Stephen King has, he writes books, but a lot of his books, I would say the overwhelming majority of his books, become movies and TV shows. And when you watch these movies and these TV shows, the one that comes to mind is The Mist. When you watch them, all right, this is Jacob's trouble. Those are biblical things, where a mist comes over the land, and inside the mist is these unknown creatures killing people, torturing people. They're massive. They're 100 feet tall, never be seen before. You think he just made that up? You think it's just his fantasy from his dreams? No, it's the Most High Yahweh, almost using him to prophesy, if you will, right? He's essentially using him to prophesy about what's about to come, because what he saw with these books, these movies, all right, that's scriptural. Now, could he actually read the scriptures and knew it? It's possible. It's possible that he just literally read it from the scriptures, but he said it was dreams. And I think Edgar Allan Poe as well. Let's get this right here. And they could all be Jakes too. All right, Stephen King, he might be a Jake, an Israelite foreigner. Let's get this right here. This is Wisdom of Solomon, the 11th chapter, and verse 18. Or unknown wild beasts. Unknown. Hey, you got things that say the Bigfoot. Now, is Bigfoot real? He could be. Jake, Gad, and Reuben. All right, they got stories of the Bigfoot, ape-like creature. You got things like the Loch Ness monster, which when you look at the with the Loch Ness monster, those are more than likely what we call today dinosaurs. Those are the aquatic dinosaurs. That's what they look like. And I find it hard to believe that all these stories are made up, when these people that don't know anything about dinosaurs, all right, these people, these sightings, they don't know nothing about dinosaurs, all right? And when they describe these creatures, they look like the skeletal remains of what we call today dinosaurs. Ooh, look at this buzzard flying super close to me, man. All right, super big buzzard. All right, that's death. Because guess what? These creatures, these newly created creatures, let's get it. Let's keep reading. Wisdom of Solomon 11 and 18. Or unknown wild beasts, full of rage, newly created. Newly created. That means they don't exist. They're going to be brand spanking new. All right, these creatures, they're going to be brand spanking new creatures, full of rage. That means they're going to be super predators. All right, because in order to be a predator, you're going to have a certain type of emotion. That's why when you look at tigers, lions, what do? They growl, they roar, they're mean. That's rage, right? You got to get psyched up to go out and kill something, all right? Or unknown wild beasts, full of rage, newly created, breathing out either a fiery vapor or filthy sense of scattered smoke, or shooting horrible sparkles out of their eyes. So they're going to be turned the fuck up, man. They ain't going to be no tiger. It's going to be a creature you ain't never seen before. All right? And it's going to be shooting fire out of his mouth, burning you up, then it's going to eat you. All right? It may torture you too. The Most High Yahweh is going to bring terror upon this place. And people, they're going to know, everything that's going to happen, they're going to know it's from Yahweh. Why? You're going to have the elect out there. All right? And people are going to be like, okay, this is beyond human capabilities. There's no possible way that a human, has done this. You know, a human can't do this. This is not just a natural disaster. This is from an omnipotent being. God is real. Yeah, he's a so-called black man. All right, and look what you did to his people. All right, which are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right, primarily, and then you got the speckled bird, Israelite foreigners. When Jake went around the world, when they were scattered to slept with these other women, these other nations of women, and then those children, they're men, they'll sleep with the same nation. Like, for example, if I go impregnate an Edomite woman, then I have a son. Son comes out looking like Patrick Mahomes, right? Or Drake, Blake Griffin. And then my son impregnates another so-called white woman. Guess what? That kid's going to come out looking pure Edomite, pure white, right? He's going to look like a straight up Edomite. Is he an Edomite? Nope, he's an Israelite. And that what I just explained has been happening for thousands of years. So guess what? You're going to have Israelites looking like all these other nations. The speckled bird, but they're still part of the Israelites, and a lot of them are going to be a part of the elect. That's the mixed multitude John saw in Revelations. All right, I think the 7th chapter. But guess what? The main topic is what you see on the screen. These apparitions, these newly created creatures, they're going to put in work to bring terror to the earth. All the one brought is edifying. Shalom.